What up, everyone? Shark here. Have a super fun 1v1 for you today. Extremely high level. Playing as the Brits in the Canadian Shock section, we have Havoc from Canada. And then playing as the Bersaglieri, the Italian Combined Arms Battlegroup from the DAK, we have Reakly from Lithuania. These guys, top 5 in both of their factions. No strangers either. You constantly see these guys playing against each other on stream. A little bit of old versus new here with the Shock section versus the Bersaglieri. Really good example of how to use the new battle group in 1v1 versus the old standard. So with that, let's get to it. And we are back on Angoville. Up here on kind of the north side is Havoc playing Brits. He's immediately going 2 sappers and then getting his section command post out. And then opposite him here in red is Reakly, who's immediately going to Bersaglieri, the Italian Combined Arms. 1 squad of Bersas on the field, sprinting across the open ground here on Angoville, getting a CoH3 out as well. And interestingly enough, you see Reakly prioritizing kind of the, we'll call it the countryside, the western half of the map, while the CoH3 caps up the eastern side. Meanwhile, Havoc going for a pretty even split here with his sappers. And fortunately for us, Havoc has locked in the Canadian Shock Battlegroup. And so now you see his sappers wiring off some green cover. I like this. It's just a quick dropping a little bit of barbed wire coming in and capping his cutoff here. Now he denies that green cover to Reakly. That's smart, and that's something I'm almost certainly going to steal next time I play this map. So then we see a dingo coming out. Probably going to try to use that dingo to hunt down the CoH3. And it also, I think, is a really nice counter to the Bersaglieri, just because they don't come with any natural counters to vehicles. Alright, and so we see the dingo. He's immediately going to push, try to do a bunch of damage to these Bersas. Now, the Bersa's able to capture that +10 fuel, and actually on the opposite side, Reakly going for the other high fuel point as well. Now Pioneers come in and close. You see the dingo taking some additional damage at short range. It's going to be forced to back up. Fortunately, sappers are here for repairs, and now we're going to see some infantry sections out on the field. But look at, I mean, this is really impressive to me, and this is the strength of the Bersaglieri, is the map presence. You're used to really seeing allied players have much more early map presence, but I think the combination of the dingo, which can't cap, and the Bersaglieri on the DAK side means that Reakly is in a really good position in terms of map control, VPs, both fuel points. So really good start here for the DAK player. And he actually is already going to tech up his light support company. So just 2 Bersas and a CoH3 into his tier 2. Meanwhile, Havoc, he's got a section out now, playing through the middle. Yeah, and then you see the micro here from Reakly. Bersaglieri not shooting at the dingo, but able to keep the dingo from firing long enough to capture the +16 munitions point. So smart play there. Dingo could chase, but it is unlikely to get those last 2. Instead, Havoc is going to try to put this dingo to use elsewhere. Nice mine laid down. I think that's from the Brits there, trying to catch that CoH3. And now, interestingly enough, Reakly going with a Panzer Grenadier squad, which I like. There's a lot of utility there with the Panzer Grenadiers. No, it was a DAK mine. Fortunately, the section hits it and not the dingo, because the dingo is actually not at full health. That might have been a one-shot kill for the dingo. Normally, a dingo can kind of tank a mine like that. And this garrison, you can see, is so strong. Bersaglieri just able to kind of hold. Oh, well, Reakly sees the flamethrower show up in the Bersaglieri, immediately bounce. You know, we just covered this map in a previous cast, and it's interesting, really is interesting to see Havoc focus on kind of the farm, we'll call it the farm side, rather than the built up side of the map. The west side of the map here, again, symmetrical resources, but not VPs. And there's the attacking spirit. So in combat healing for all these infantry units from decapping that point. They'll get another boost when they capture it as well. Schützen hits vet 1, and so the tracer fire ensures that those sappers take some additional damage from these Bersas, and the Panzergrenadiers on retreat. Actually, this could be dangerous. Schützen going to move up again, reactivate tracer fire. Oh no. That sapper caught out does get gunned down. Dingo comes over, it's just too late to even things out. I think, you know, this attacking spirit... Oh, shock troopers on the field now too. The attacking spirit... I don't know that it needs the healing in combat. It doesn't seem like it's totally over the top. Like, the healing's slow enough that you can still win engagements, but what it does is it saves you from having to buy the base healing because you can just heal up. Wow, look at the damage the focus fire is doing on those on the shock troopers, and the Schützen activating tracer fire on both units. Oh, nice dodge of the Gammon bomb, but pretty much all the infantry on the field going to retreat except for this infantry section. Dingo doing a lot of damage. Schützen in need of slight repairs as well. And now Havoc recovering on the far side, getting resources back, and he's actually going to end up with both plus 10 fuels here. Reakly forced to slow down his own tech just a little bit to get healing out, which really is important if you're going to trade well with the Brits. With this battle group, they're almost always going to be at full health just by advancing through your territory, right? So, and, you know, no need, obviously, for a field infirmary there with the attacking spirit healing available. Good Schützen play as well from Reakly, as you'd expect, right? Keeping the unit very active, keeping it alive in the face of a Dingo and some determined infantry. And I'm kind of thankful. The shock troopers are strong, but not overly so. I think if we had gotten the version of the shock troopers from single player with the body armor SMGs, one, it would have been a little redundant with some of the other CQB units available to the Brits, but they might have potentially been overpowered. As you saw how many of the shock troopers dropped in that last engagement. And I think that's important if you're going to create an elite infantry unit, that it does, taking casualties does result in some bleed. So we are going to see a Humber come out for Havoc here, just slightly before a Flakverling from Reakly. Again, my personal opinion, facing the Shock Battlegroup, a Flakverling is almost required because of the damage and the suppression that it does to help you manage the crowd of British infantry that can arrive. The Humber is obviously a good natural counter to the Flakverling, but the Flakverling can defend itself, so you have to play it very deliberately. Yeah, Dingo shows up to force the Bersaglieri back. Reakly going to push the opposite fuel with these Panzer Pioneers. And now Canadian shock troops push the Panzergrenadiers, supported by the Humber, but the tracer fire from the Schützen, really, really well done from Reakly, and he gets a Schützen out before the Humber can kill it. And now, yeah, these Panzergrenadiers in a spot where the shock troopers pretty easily win the engagement supported by the Humber. Now the Flakverling arrives, a little too late to prevent the Panzergrenadiers from losing that engagement, but in time to force away the shock troopers and do some damage to the Humber here. And this is one of those situations where maybe you consider, with the DAK as one of your armory upgrades, getting the tungsten core ammunition early, because the Flakverling with that tungsten core ammo will do more damage basically through penetration of the Humber. It allows you to really burn down that vehicle a little bit faster. And then obviously, I think, like, as a general rule, I like the tungsten core ammo for DAK against Brits in general. Some of the Brit heavy armor is very potent, especially with this battle group. The potential for the Crocodile is something you always have to consider. It is the heavy tank that arrives soonest in terms of battle group pollen. Wow, Schützen in danger of getting spotted by the Humber, but somehow does not. And Reakly again looks like he's going to get both plus 10 fuel points here. The shock troopers get upgraded with the Piat. I think it's a smart choice. It allows them to be your really chonky anti-vehicle infantry, and then with some of their other abilities. Oh, good use of the smoke from the Humber to negate the DPS here from the Bersaglieri and the Panzergrenadiers. I wonder what his plan is with these shock troopers. I really wish there was another like passageway through this hedgerow. Oh, Panzerjäger half track on the field. Smart play. But the Humber is able to get away. Not the Humber gets away, but the Panzerjäger smoke the Dingo. I think that's a trade that Havoc will take. Now the Flakverling arrives. Shock troopers force away the DAK infantry. Yeah, as they scale up, I think they're going to become really difficult to deal with. But Reakly, to his credit, really capping up the east or southeast kind of side of the map here, and he's got the triple cap on. From an army composition point of view, looks fairly even, even though Havoc is 10 less pop cap than Reakly. And so it's a shame that he lost that sapper squad early, because that was the squad he was probably going to put a sweeper on. So you see here, he actually replaced and has a squad of sappers with a sweeper on it now. But I think it is required at this level of play. These players are too good. They're not going to let you just run around and not put mines down. And then in Reakly's case, he actually has some munitions sinks available to him. The Breda light machine guns for the Bersaglieri, the MG34 LMG for the Panzergrenadier. So we don't really have to... He has choices to make, essentially. He's not struggling for places to use his munitions. Havoc going for the infantry training now, which I think is an absolute must, especially with this battle group, because it encourages you to play very heavily with infantry. That infantry training so valuable in ensuring you trade effectively, your units vet up faster, etc. Wow. The shock troopers getting healing from the sappers decapping this VP. Humber, yeah, those bursts just need to get out of there. The Flakverling finds the shock troopers and forces them away before they can use their Piat. Wow, and then they hit a mine as well on retreat. And Reakly just a menace across the map here. Another Canadian shock section hits the field. Oh, this Humber needs to be careful. Takes a couple of hits. Well, the Humber successfully knocks out the Krautschützen and then immediately hits a well-placed mine. Another nice trade in the favor of Reakly here. And Reakly floating a ton of resources. He's building his tier 4 now, but he has a bunch of manpower. And so I think we're going to see... Oh, he's building an MG34. I was like, where did that manpower go? Havoc just waiting. Was it 90? Yeah, 90 for the Piat. So he's got the Piat upgrading right now. And I like he's counter capping on the opposite side here to try to take some of the pressure off. But this map, you really can't let your opponent own the 2VP, the far side of the map. The Piat taking a long time to build. I'm sure the Piat from the building would be a major threat to this Flakverling. Havoc, interestingly enough, at the 13-minute mark, going for Stewarts. I wonder if his plan is to build Stewarts into the Crocodile. Shock Troopers looking for an opportunity to use their Piat against the Flakverling. Oh, I really like this attack round through the hedgerow, trying to get suppression. Oh, wow, that was the Piat shot hit. You almost don't see it. I feel like it needs like a smoke trail or a tracer or something. I was looking around for the AT gun that did that damage first. And I like this maneuver here from Reakly. He's got another squad of bursts essentially on the flank here. His infantry section is in serious danger of going down. Havoc sees it. Fortunate retreat path, but still a lot of potential DPS here. The Bursts are going to chase and actually sprint to try to chase even better. Oh, but they still can't drop either model, and that section will get away. Now, the previous game on this map that I casted, we saw a lot more cutoff play. I think both players are trying to play wide right now as this Sapper squad runs into the MG34. It feels to me like they're both really playing the flanks, and we haven't seen as much occur through the middle. So Stewart hits the field as Reakly is teching armored reserves. And I don't think this doesn't bode well for Havoc. Well, first Piet shot comes in. Second one, wow, that hit hard. Fortunately, he uses the Vet 1 ability to crew shock, or basically suppress that Stewart. That was the Panzer Grenadier crew shock from the handheld anti-tank grenade. The Stewart forced to back up for repairs. Shock Trooper is going to close the Panzer Grenadiers. One of the models has a Piat, and they just don't have the DPS to compete. So worth keeping in mind, right, if you're playing DAK. The DAK Panzer Grenadiers, as they vet up, scale fairly well against the Shock Troopers. Now, MG34 sets up a 1 infantry section, but they are spread far enough apart that the other section here moving up forces MG to retreat. And then here in this case, the Bersaglieri just provide... hit another mine. Because they move around so quickly, they're kind of like the DAK version of Pathfinders. They allow you a ton of map presence. More mines going down for Havoc. I love the aggressive mine placement by both players on this map. And this is a good map for it. It's extremely high in terms of munitions. Sorry, it's funny to me that as he's laying this mine down, the squad rolling up with him also hits one. Oh, flak filling arrives. I wonder... Yeah, they hop in the building. The Piat from the building should do a lot of damage. But they don't shoot, and now a grenade comes in, stun grenade. They're able to get out of the building but forced to lie down. Now the sappers cancel the mine and start hitting the building with the pioneers in it. That's a ton of damage, and the pyrotechnic debuff. I don't think anyone really wants to be in this building right now. Meanwhile, Stewart plus shock troopers does force off the DAK infantry on this side. You see the MG34 moving up to support the Panzerjägers, but the Stewart's not going to let the Panzerjägers come in and find them. On the opposite side, sappers forced away. 2 infantry sections against Panzer Grenadiers, Panzer Pioneers, and this flak filling. Well, nice grenade onto the MG34. The pyrotechnics from the grenade, that's... Well, at least the debuff applies to both sides. Stewart tries to challenge the flak filling. The Panzer Grenadiers kind of rush it, potentially to throw a snare down. Guess they decide not to go for the snare. He's got the munitions for it. Havoc now finally teching tier 4. Man, mines being hit everywhere. That mine actually does quite a bit of damage to that Pack 38 crew. Now the snare comes in on the Stewart. I don't think the sight lines are going to help the Pack 38. Maybe he'll go through for the attack round. Now the Panzerjäger's in a great spot, but they're having some sort of issue with their aim time. Oh, I think they went for the tear gas round to try to snare the Stewart, but the Pack 38 forced to back off with only 2 models. And now Havoc's gotten a Vickers out, interestingly enough. I feel like both players stalling for late game tanks at this point. Playing very infantry heavy, which really, this battle group, the Canadian battle group, really supports that play style. Shock troopers suppressed, still get the Piat off, but it misses. When a unit suppressed, its accuracy goes way down with handheld anti-tank. And I like this kiting here. Well done by the flak filling in the MG34. Meanwhile, on the opposite side, British infantry forced the Bersaglieri away. And these players, you can tell, just constantly trading control on opposite sides of the map. Oh no, this Bursa squad could go down here. It hits a mine down to a single model and a sliver of health. Gunned down by the Stewart. The coaxial machine gun is what does it. Another Bursa squad picks up the down Breda. Only sappers are to support the Stewart, so the Stewart's going to back up. But you see Havoc doing a great job of counter-capping. This has been a consistent theme, right? The map control is constantly vacillated back and forth. And now, yeah, I think Havoc's decided he's actually gone for demolition sappers rather than the crocodile. I guess if he built his tier 4, he doesn't want to, he's not trying to stall for the crocodile. So instead, we're going to see the demolition engineers refits the Stewart, and he's getting what looks like a Matilda out now. Shock troops find some more Bersaglieri on that +10 fuel. MG34 well placed in the back to suppress, and the Brit infantry are going to back up.
Upgrades on its way, isn't it? Oh, wait, did instructor? Jerry, attacking us! Where the fuck did they come from?
Oh, so with the demolition engineers, it allows you to get a flamethrower and a minesweeper on the same section, I think, which is really nice considering how many mines have gone down. Now, interestingly enough, Havoc's gone for a mortar. I know the Canadian mortar includes the incendiary and the pyrotechnics. I wonder if the regular mortar does as well. Probably to deal with the team weapons and the HMGs. Meanwhile, Reakly going for assault grenadiers and honestly floating quite a few resources. Oh, this Bersaglieri squad runs into a couple of infantry sections. They're forced away. So Havoc free to cap up the southeast side of the map here. And now, oh, it was a Crusader. So we're going to see a Crusader. Oh, immediately finds a Panzerjäger and a Pak 38. So the Crusader's got it back up for repairs already. Second Crusader on the way. And I like the thought here. This is a very, at least this side of the map's very open, which is well suited to the Crusader's mobility. Assault grenadiers charging these infantry sections, but they bleed quite a bit. Shock troopers almost dodged the stun grenade. This is interesting. The shock troopers can see over the hedgerow. Second Crusader hits the field. I am interested in seeing how Havoc decides to play this one. Yeah, the healing in combat kind of wild. Like I said, like in theory, I don't really like it, but it doesn't seem to be totally overpowered. It just mainly saves you from having to get a field infirmary. Nice play from the MG34, suppress the sappers. Double Crusaders here. Couple big hits onto the flak filling. Pak 38 is available to support, but slightly out of position. Bren section forces away the Bersaglieri. Sappers now pinned on this +10 fuel by this MG34. I think the trick for Havoc with these Crusaders is going to be keeping them moving so that the Pak 38 is never set up to totally support or defend against them. These sappers find a number of mines here that Reakly's laid out, and they're suppressed, so they're not going to be able to pick up the mines right away. From an upgrade point of view, and actually I don't see any vehicle-specific upgrades from Reakly. And it's probably the flak filling just getting a bonus from its veterancy. No, it gets plus 80 health at vet 3. And it really feels chonky. Like, it feels like he's invested into the vehicle survival kits and emergency repair kits. Sappers continue to pick up mines under fire. Now the Crusaders come across. Looks like they're going to come through and dive for the flak filling. Panzerjägers and Pak 38 are here to support. They don't want a full dive. A couple big hits come in on the flak filling. And they get the pickup and now drive right past the Pak 38. into the base. What's the plan here? They're on prioritized vehicles, so they're not actually shooting anything in the base. And now a Tiger hits the field for Reakly. No 2-pounder to use target weak point to deal with the Tiger. It looks like they're going to swing over instead to apply some additional pressure to use Bersaglieri. And the Tiger, you can hear, is on his way over saying, that's enough of that. But meanwhile, Havoc has capped up the opposite side of the map here. So Havoc about to get the triple cap on. And he's got enough fuel for yet another Crusader. What he doesn't have is the munitions to upgun them all to the Crusader 3 variant. Yeah, it looks like another Crusader on the way. So he's going to try to swarm the Tiger here. Reakly getting off of the triple cap, getting some additional fuel. But yeah, as these Brit infantry vet up, they just trade better and better with the DAK infantry, especially the Bersaglieri and the Pioneers. Tiger gets very close to being a nice hit on that infantry section. They are low health, but they're gonna get, well, they cut through. I guess there is a little cross path. Another unlucky Tiger shot. Third Crusader hits the field. And Reakly could be going for some vehicle upgrades here. He's got a little bit of spare manpower. Gammon Bomb comes in. Oh wow, the shock troopers take a big hit from the Tiger, forced to back away. Now the triple Crusader push. Panzerjäger's in a good position to support. Crusader's trying to get on the Tiger's flank. The Tiger does a good job backing up, but now we're seeing some side hits. Pack 38 in place, but whiffs its first shot. And the Tiger goes down. Are these even Crusader 3s? Yeah, that's upgunned. 2 of them are upgunned. Oh, so all 3 were upgunned at Crusader 3. Makes you feel a little bit better, but still kind of nuts they can just come in there and swing on it like that. So, yeah, the Crusader Swarm still extremely viable, even against heavy DAK armor. Reakly not going to throw in the towel just yet. He's getting his second Pack 38 out. But yeah, now you're starting to see the power of these late-game Brit infantry with all of the shock troop buffs and the infantry training. Reakly's got his MG34 capping up the opposite VP. But this big push here through the center. Looks like the sappers are just going to knock this building down. Oh, one squad of shock troopers finds MG and forces the retreat. Big push in here onto the far side, the north side of the map. And an infantry section forced away, bleeding a little bit. The Crusaders looks like are busy getting topped off on health here. Shock troopers, they won't win this engagement, but they can at least tank and hold on to this VP for an extended period of time. Especially now with these sappers that have arrived with the demolition package upgrade. You see the little logo there. They dodge a stun grenade, and a gammon bomb with the flames hits the Panzer Grenadiers, forces them away. Now, finally, the Canadians will retreat, but Havoc's gained full control of this opposite side of the map. Just one squad of Assault Grenadiers, and that's not going to be enough to deal with this Brit infantry or these 3 Crusaders. I don't really know what Reakly's options are here. He's got good balance of VPs to work with, but he's still pretty far away in terms of fuel. And it looks like Havoc knows this, and he's going to go in and try to knock down Tier 4. Reakly could potentially call on a Panzer IV, but that's not going to do any better than the Tiger did. The snare's going to come in on one of the Crusader 3s, but it looks like Tier 4 is going to get knocked out. Pack 38's rotating over. Yeah, Tier 4 is gone. And now Reakly's options are extremely limited. At least he upgraded the armored reserves so he has access to the tank call-ins. But still not a great spot. Reakly trying to fight his way out of his own base. Sappers push off the Pack 38s. And this triple vet Canadian Shock section in light cover doing work against these Panzerjägers. Reakly, Havoc now owns this entire side of the map, and he's got a little push coming out, focusing on the third and final VP. Now Havoc just knocking out some of these base defenses. Pack 38 shot comes in, Crusaders back up. Yeah, now Havoc's about to get the triple cap on here. I feel like those three Crusaders can just move around the map with impunity at this point. And Reakly, yeah, Reakly sees the same thing and he decides to surrender. Okay, so starting out, looking at Reakly's build, this is, I think, the less exciting of the two, and this is relatively meta, especially in the 1v1 scene, right? So Panzer Pioneer start, Italian Combined Arms Battle Group immediately with a Bersaglieri, Scharfschützen, and a second Bersaglieri. And he breaks with tradition here a little bit, depending on who you watch, in that he gets a Panzer Grenadier squad out while he's teching to tier 2. I like this. I think the Panzer Grenadiers mesh well with the Bersaglieri. Two of the Bersaglieri squads is enough to provide a lot of capping power, but the Panzer Grenadiers scale better and have better utility. So I like the thought process here. At this point, he goes med truck, fire support elements. He's not going to play with tier 3 at all. You can kind of see it from the build. Flak filling. He gets the Panzerjäger mechanized group out, immediately kills the Dingo, eventually kills the Humper. Great play there. This is a really easy light AT or light anti-vehicle answer for you in the mid game. Now, he ends up going with an MG34 HMG, and it works well for him in helping control some of the Brit infantry push. That suppression is really, really valuable. Text to tier 4. This is where I know he loves the big tanks. You see Reakly push a lot of Black Princes and a lot of Tigers, and he uses them really well. But he goes straight into the armored reserves. And I think when you have to do this much crowd control, it might make more sense to lean into the Panzer IIIs. But this is his prerogative. This is how he plays. It clearly works for him. He gets a Pack 38 AT gun to kind of back up his vehicles. Gets some Assault Grenadiers, which is another interesting choice. I like the thought process here. I'm afraid, though, that they come out so late that they're kind of squishy, right? They're Vet 0 and everything else on the field is Vet 2 or 3 at this point. So a little bit of risk there, but I can understand not wanting to go for like Vet 0 Panzer Grenadiers. I think as me, again, like far be it from me to give these guys advice, but I think I'd probably go for another Panzer Pioneer just for the utility, being able to place mines, that sort of thing, repair your vehicles. He gets the Tiger 1. You saw it immediately get swarmed by a couple of Crusaders, and that's more or less the game. From the battle group point of view, he first goes down the left side, the Bersaglieri unlock, the bolster, and then the Bredas, and then the right side, the Somavente, the strafing run, and the artillery cover. Don't sleep on the strafing run or the artillery cover. They're very powerful abilities. The strafing run will even damage light vehicles. So if you use the mines well, you get an enemy vehicle critted. That strafing run can be pretty potent. All in all, relatively standard Bersaglieri heavy 1v1 build for the DAK here. It's standard because it works. A lot of utility in those infantry. So, yep, pretty standard build. And now let's take a look at what Havoc did. All right, and looking at Havoc's build, I really like his take on the Shock battle group here because he's not leaning on the Shock troopers entirely themselves. Instead, he's using the abilities of the battle group to augment what already makes the Brits really, really strong in this patch. So it starts with 2 sappers, section command post, Dingo. This is a good answer. If the DAK player goes heavy into Scharfschützen or 250, Dingo's a pretty good counter until they get the combat half-tracks upgrade. The fact that Reakly went Bursas, the Dingo is also super valuable. You can kind of bully the Bursas, bleed them a little bit. Makes a lot of sense. Chooses a new battle group and then gets 2 infantry sections out. And again, don't sleep on sections. They got a buff in the last patch. I think they're pretty potent. They scale well, especially with infantry training. And then when you start to add in the abilities of the battle group, they get stronger and stronger. Next, he gets a Canadian Shock section out. And with both of his sections, he ends up getting he goes for the Piat upgrade. And I like this because the shock troopers are hardy enough and do enough DPS that you can't ignore them, even when they have the Piat. But now they have a nice counter to light vehicles, and you can start to push away some of the vehicles that DAK players usually lean on, like the 250 or the Flak-Verling. Then he goes in the platoon command post, gets a Humber out. Humber is, I think, pretty much a requirement at this point, especially when you play an opponent that leans very heavily into infantry. The Humber is a great counter. You can kite, and then when they start to get light vehicles out, you can use some of the other abilities really effectively. Also, Vet 1, that flare for increased damage, really, really valuable. Replaces some lost sappers, gets a field infirmary. Almost feels unnecessary given the attacking spirit, but it does. I think it's a good investment because it allows him to heal at base. Then he's not relying on attacking spirit for healing, which is a mistake that I made recently in one of my own games. From here, he unlocks the Stewards and then gets one out on the field. And I think at the time, this is a really cool idea, right? I'm going to tech Stewards into the Crocodile is kind of where I felt like he was going. Ended up not going that way, and so I wanted to highlight this because he ends up refitting the Steward, building the company command post, and going for a more traditional route. And I think the presence of mind to do that in the middle of the game is what helped him succeed. The Stewards against a Tiger or a Crocodile against a Tiger is not a matchup you want, but 3 Crusaders, which is what he ended up with, ended up being more than enough to deal with the Tiger. The other thing that I really like is he assessed as he was moving on, he needed a machine gun and a mortar, not afraid to get those out in the late game, which is pretty cool. Final thing here, the Crusader 2s, he left them as Crusader 2s until the Tiger hit the field, and then you saw the upgrades for the 3s hit. This is smart. As 2s, they have much better performance against infantry. They're still super fast. When they get upgunned to the Crusader 3, as you saw, if they get on the side and rear armor of the Tiger, they are definitely a threat. All right, so looking at the battle group choices here, unlocks the incendiary weapons. I think it's a better choice than Burnout at this point, especially if you're dealing with an enemy that uses a lot of team weapons. But as my buddy Jake pointed out, Burnout on a map like this with aggressive cutoffs can also be a really valuable choice. Then Pyrotechnics, which just applies a debuff when you use flames. The Demolition Engineers, which I really like. It basically just makes your late game sappers very valuable, allows you to put down demo packages as well. So they basically, like, if they have a minesweeper, they get a flamethrower. If they have a flamethrower, they get a minesweeper. That's pretty cool and really, really useful in the late game. Attacking Spirit, Canadian Shock section, and then the Smoke ability, which I don't think we saw. So pretty cool build, and I think really well balanced use of the new battle group here. All right, so just a few takeaways from me here. Don't really want to talk too much about the build order, but I did want to highlight one more time that neither player overinvested into those specialty units, right? So Reakly only had 2 Bersaglieri, but instead going for a Krautschützen and a Panzer Grenadier squad to bolster them. And then on Havoc's side, 2 shock troops after he had a decent baseline of infantry. And even then, those shock troops were separated by several minutes on the battlefield, right? And so I think in both of their cases, they got those units because they were the answer to the problem at hand, not because they wanted to spam a specific approach. Something to keep in mind moving forward. You don't have to use a million of one unit. Sometimes just having a really nice, well-balanced army composition and keeping them in the right place is more important. To that end, I think this match really highlights the value of fantastic map awareness and the ability to multitask across the map. As opposed to other games that I've seen on Angoville, in this game you saw players working both sides of the map constantly, and it was like an ebb and flow of capped territory. Nothing was ever going uncontested, right? So there's an engagement on the west side of the map, immediately you're trying to counter cap on the east side of the map and vice versa. The ability to manage those multiple engagements is what allows these players, at least at this level, to take advantage of that like lack of awareness or lack of micro ability for their opponents and win engagements, right? You have 2 engagements going at the same time. You can get a grenade in, right, that allows you to get a wipe, etc., and start to turn the game. So it's really fun to see when both players are at this level, them go back and forth like that. Aggressive mine placement can win engagements and the game. We saw lots of really good mines from Reakly that kept him in the game when the DAK is normally kind of expected to be on the back foot. Unfortunately, he really could have used those mines later when the Crusaders pushed his Tiger. I it's kind of nuts at this point, but the best way I've seen for Brits to kill a tiger without an archer is multiple Crusaders making a dive. Right? It's better if you can support it with something to snare the vehicle or like a 2-pounder for target weak point. But Crusaders on the side and rear armor, they're so fast. They have enough health that they still can take multiple shots from the tiger. The fire rate's really high. A single tiger one feels really underwhelming. And then you think, in real life that wouldn't work because the tiger would one-shot each one of the Crusaders, but it is a video game and it's still going to take 3 shots from that tiger to kill each tank. They can get all their shots in before then. So if you're going this route, if you're a Brit player up against DAK, Crusaders can be your answer. They're like a super speedy, short-range tank destroyer, which the Brits otherwise lack outside of the archer. And then just thinking about Angoville again, remember that garrison side of the map has 2 VPs, but the same amount of resources as the farm side of the map. Those garrisons can be really powerful. I think the shock troops are a really good answer to those garrisons. The flame munitions pyrotechnics can really make it difficult to use the garrisons effectively. And then you guys saw the munitions and potential here with all the abilities, all the mines that went down. 4 different +16 muni points on this map. It is nuts. So that's all I got. There will definitely be some more streams this weekend if you guys want to join me. GG Havoc, GG Reakly. Well done, guys. Keep going at it, and I will keep casting your replays. But yeah, that's it. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see y'all in the next one.